Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Monday night, 8 p.m. can only mean one thing. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns for episode 207. How are we? One and all. The chat room is rammed. And of course, myself, Phil Bars, and Dan Simpson are here for the next couple of hours to talk darting nonsense with you all. How are we doing, buddy?
I was smashing until, I'm just telling you before we got on, I was smashing until about 6 minutes ago when I attempted to horse in some food dead quickly before we went live. Burnt all the roof of my mouth, so I'm probably talking for the next 2 hours through a mouthful of blisters. I've got extra Pellegrinos in just to try and keep them at bay. But yeah, other than that, all is well. It's busy as ever up in Teesside. It's pissing down with rain again, as it has been every day recently. I'm on my travels a bit this week and next. I'm in London most of the back end of this week and Manchester next, so I'm getting about a little bit. Yeah, it's all good though. How are you? You had a busy weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, lots going on. I'm not going to lie, it felt strange with an event on and not being there. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have missed the event I was at for the World, but it felt weird not being there. I'm not going to lie.
It's very rare some professional darts are thrown and you're not in the building somewhere, is it? It's very rare.
It was strange, but yeah, no, it was all good. It was a good weekend, which is good. The one and only Mr. Bobby George will be joining us around 8:15. I can't wait for this. This is going to be good. Mr. Razmataz himself is going to be joining us. We've got plenty of chit chat as well to be getting on with, which is good. But like we say, never a dull moment in darts. We'll start with the World Series as it's quite topical that Stephen Bunting's love affair with the World Series is incredible. That couldn't win a game for 8 weeks in the Premier League, but World Series finals and winning events, not a problem. I've got you, mate.
Yeah, it really is a bit of a sort of it's not a funny one, but it's like we know his form is up and down, and I think it's every time we get worried about him, he does something like this, doesn't he? And it's I was going to say it's to be expected a little bit, and to somewhat it has become that, hasn't it? Now when we get an event like that, he starts to just pop up from nowhere. And I know these are interesting events to a degree, because they're not the ranking events. The people will argue about how important they are, but like I still maintain that some of the greatest darts players in the world were in that field, and none of them like to get beat ever. Like none of them care whether it's yes, I know that when they're in the quarterfinal of a match play, then everything's amplified a little bit and everything's more important. There's more money on the line, but like those boys do not like getting beat at darts matches against any of these other top players, especially because we're coming into the busy part of the year. Everybody likes to keep that last win over. Everyone wants to go into their next meeting knowing they won the last one, and like these guys don't let up. So I think it was a really impressive performance from Stephen Bunting over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. He was solid. As you like. Before we go on, my fault. I didn't say it even to the chat room, and I feel bad because it is rammed already. Malachi is in. Scott, Dal, how we doing? Fraser says greetings, everyone. K-Days, Chris, how we doing? Video Smurf, Warren is in. Michael said ready for a great show. So are we, my friend. Sam, how we doing? Daniel is in along with Rob, Matthew, of course. Adam is in. Wayne, it is Ram. Raymond, how do? Marcus. Brandon, Nina, Nels, Lendl is in. James, TK is in. Owen, I tell you what, it's a Bobby Dazzler. Anyone would think we've got royalty tonight. Julie, how we doing? Connor, all good. Nina, we will come on to the World Cup shortly.
Don't you worry about that.
But look, on the World Series, this is becoming a bit of a theme at the moment that it's becoming round one, the big guns win. And then it feels do you know what I mean? Where before we're used to.
Yes, and then it's a Premier League night.
Qualifiers, whatever we're calling them, challengers or what, have always caused upsets. Now, I necessarily don't think that they've got worse. I think the elite have got better. Do you know what I mean? Because they're used to playing in this environment more.
I really thought we would get a few upsets in the first round this weekend. I mean, we spoke about it last week, and I thought that there was multiple opportunities, and yes, it sort of required, or it would have required the favourites to not be completely at it. Like you would have needed one of them to go and post a 91 and an 88 average or something, and they all sort of were solid enough. I think the worst average we saw was Aspinall with it when he was still over 90, so he's not stunk the place out, and he's got away with it again because his opponent was Bobbins. But I genuinely thought that there were opportunities right across the draw. I fancied both Harrison, De Graaf. I thought that I actually thought Oscar Lukasic could have done something with Bunting, depending on which version turned up. But I really thought that we would have seen at least one, maybe two qualifiers, or the local guys through to that first round, and it was just a bit procedural, wasn't it? And it just takes the novelty away. Like these World Series events, they're good, but what we want what I want as a fan is I want to see some new interesting matches. We want to see the local guys getting through, having a big match with a big name. We want to see somebody upset something. We want to see some games that we haven't seen before on the television. We want to see somebody different play against the big guys. But yeah, unfortunately for the fan that likes to manifest chaos, the first round was a bit procedural.
Yeah, Anthony is in. How are you doing, my friend? But no takeaway. Oh, what's going on Monday night, Anthony? You've let us down.
Well, I'm not getting jealous tonight. Not after the 5 minutes I had.
I look forward to my Monday message. But yeah, look, this, like we say, just going back to it. Yeah, I want a little bit more from these World Series events, because it's great that I love the World Series for what it's trying to do and grow in these territories. I do. But at this point, I'm wanting a bit more from. Do we lessen the quality? And look, this is me talking from me watching point of view. I understand that the fans in the arena want to see all these guys. I get that, but round one isn't competitive at the moment.
No, well, it's sort of isn't it? Because I mean, Labanauskas has pushed Clayton. I mean, he's managed to push him 6-5 with a 10-point gap in the averages, which is impressive. Rasma probably should have beat Humphreys in that opening round.
Rasma's a tour card holder. We got to the quarterfinals of the World Grand Prix before.
Yeah, and I know he's a
fully fledged tour card holder.
Yeah,
but when you look at the rest, Bunting was never really in any danger against Lukasiak. Tingstrom was only in the game because Littler had a mare, was nowhere near Luke's standards. That's the only reason that was 6-3. Aspinall's battered Benjamin Drew-Roos. Rob Cross, although it was 6-4, Harrison never looked like breaking the Rob Cross throw at any point. And do you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm just wanting a bit more.
I mean, like you, I want to see more. The difficulty is those at the top end of the spot are getting better, and that bunch, certainly if you're going to pick 8 of the top 10, 8 of the top 12 is going there, then you are getting a seriously high level across the full field. And then to pluck, non-tour card holders out of that, and you are then looking for a very rogue upset. You need someone to throw a stinker, or because how many of the qualifiers have got that 104 average in the locker on a stage like that they can produce in that environment. Well, maybe a once in a lifetime sort of thing, and you want to Yeah, you want it to be competitive, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't really want to dilute the quality too much. Otherwise, because if you dilute the quality at the beginning, then you make the rest of the tournament shit as well, don't you? Potentially.
Yeah, no, agree.
You can end up with some stinking quarterfinals.
Muchos, I will star your question because we'll come back to that later on in the show. But I do like the idea. But yeah, just look, the World Series, it's like Stephen Bunting just doing what he does. Gezi, good in spells, and then didn't quite get into the semi-final. Aspinall just doing Aspinall things. Dobie he won in round one, but then was awful in the quarterfinals and so on. It was a real up and down weekend. We had good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was fairly. I mean, I don't know what really to say otherwise. It was fairly typical of one of these events. It's sort of what we're getting used to seeing. However, I don't know. I just think as we move through the World Series this year, and I know we've seen a clean sweep again in round number one. I think that the next one, and we'll predict it closer to it, but I think the next one will buck the trend. I think we will not see a PDC superstar clean sweep in the opening round of the next World Series of Darts event.
I possibly agree with you. Yes, and that we all know what is next, and I do agree. And it was great to see the CDC again at the weekend. Some good numbers. We had a 9 darter from Stowe Bunts. Adam Savada is playing some incredible darts right now. So, am I excited for New York? 100%. Controversially, I still don't think it's the best lineup that it could be from a North American point of view. Look, I'm not disrespecting any of the players that have qualified because they are there by merit. They've done the job when they've had to. But from a personal note, if I'm handpicking the best 8 in North America, I would be making a couple of changes to that lineup. If I could, in a dream world, do you know what I mean? If you're handpicking it, there would be a couple of changes for me.
Yeah, I think I agree. Obviously, there is a system and a structure they've put in place for selecting who's going to be able to represent North America at the US Darts Masters. But, you know, if you could just go out, open pick and pick 8 players to represent them, then I feel like, that might not be the full and total amount of, or the full and total players that you would select.
We will come back to this in a minute because I'm delighted that our guest has joined us. So we are going to play a flash video, and then we are going to be joined by the one and only Mr. Bobby George. And as if by magic, we are joined by the one and only, the Mr. King of Bling, Mr. Bobby George. How are we, Bobo?
Still here.
Good, lad. Well, you've timed that well, because speaking of still here, we have the unfiltered autobiography from Mr. Bobby George, self-titled Still Here, which we are gonna talk about in a minute. But it's great to have you on the show, mate. How's things? Nice holiday?
Yeah, all right, not too bad. I'll see the Colosseum. I went to the Vatican. I went to the where the volcano blew up. I can't remember now. Well, yeah, it was all right.
Pompeii.
Hey? Yeah.
Pompeii.
They call it something else. They don't call it Pompeii. They call it different than we say it. Then, yeah, it was. Yeah, there was them Romans were right bullies, you know. They bullied everyone, didn't they?
100%.
In 100 days, they killed 5,000 tigers and lions, and then he wiped the bloody population out of them. Unbelievable. But amazing city to go and see. It's amazing what they've done. It's amazing. Rome's lovely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it?
So let's talk about the book. how much did you enjoy writing this, and how many chapters were you not allowed to put in?
Well, there's quite a few, to be honest. Because if they think it's like naughty, they cut it out. Obviously,
Yeah.
The world's a different place now. You know, you've got to be careful saying this and saying that. A few good ones they left out, but overall, yeah, it's. Have you read it, Phil? You read any of it?
I'm halfway through it at the moment. It only arrived at the weekend, so I'm halfway through.
Oh, at least you're honest. At least you're honest.
Yeah, no, it arrived at the weekend, and I'm saying I'm halfway through it at the moment.
Well, it's humorous. It's more things happen, tell you things that's happened. It's not just how many scores you got and how much average. It's not that. It's 20 years from the last book. Put it that way.
Well,
So
lots changed in that time as well, hasn't it?
well, yeah, things have changed a lot. You know, the dartballs, it's got bigger. The trebles and doubles. It's fresher. It's clean. Everyone's right professional. You know, it's completely different. Yeah, the game's the same, 501, but it's more professional. I think now it's more money in it as well. That's the main thing for the players. It's nice winning trophies, Phil, but it's nice earning the money better. Before, we went round the world earning trophies and no money. You had to do exhibitions for the bees and honey. Now it's the other way round.
Yeah.
But the boys must be worn out. The playing they do, playing each other day after day, they must be worn out. Because even doing exhibitions wasn't easy. I've done every day, near enough, exhibitions. Because I wanted the bees and honey. But I couldn't do it now. I'm like a dried up donut now, I am. No way. No way could I do it now. God.
So the book, have you got a favourite chapter? Or have you got a favourite bit of the book that you enjoyed reminiscing over the most?
No, not really. No, you know, I just think of, you know, what I'm like. I start talking, I'm butterfly, don't I? I do other things. I get into other things, memories, different memories. Yeah, the only one I thought was quite good. I'm sure I put it in the book, maybe not, but it was a story about in 1980. We played in the North American Open pairs, me and Tony Sontag, and we met these two guys that lived in New York. Little Richard was with me. I was over in New York, and they said, "Will you come to the ADA and give some prizes out?" I said, "Yeah, all right." I met these two old boys, and they told me a story which I never remembered. It's weird, never remembered it. They live in New York, and they practice because it's 301 double in, double out. North American Open pairs was, right? They practice every day. They save their money up for the flight because from New York to LA, it's almost the same difference in New York to London. It's how big the country is. They saved their money up. His mate was a good shooter, really good. He said, I wasn't a bad scorer. They drew me and Tony Sontag the first game, right? Anyway, I didn't even remember. He got the middle of every leg, by the way, which is good because 301 double in. It's a nappy job, isn't it? Really, you know? So I won the middle and I went off 160. And his mate went up to hit the double. He didn't get off. Tony went out 141. Right? 6-star. First game. I thought, that's good. Didn't think much. Yeah, right. You got to still win, ain't you? Went up the middle. I won the middle. I went off 160. Right? His mate went up. Didn't get off. Tony went out 141. 2 6-stars we done. He saved all his money up, right? He practiced for a year and he never threw a goddamn dart in the North American Open pairs. That's almost impossible, isn't it? He never threw a dart, one of them, at all. What about that then?
Oh, that's incredible.
You think you're making it up, wouldn't you? Like a movie. And then little Richard got on the stage to tell the story. But the American done it really good. You know, they talk, God damn it, and all that. But we didn't think nothing of it at the time. Anyway, we won the North American Open pairs, me and Tony. No one got near us. Just one of them days that you go up and you hit everything, you know?
Yeah.
It's doing it on the right time. That's the main thing. Doing it when it counts. It's all right in fun darts, but do it under pressure is good. But never won North American Open pairs never threw a dart. It's almost impossible. It is, though, isn't it?
That's brilliant.
But that was one of the stories that always. That wasn't long ago. Probably about 12 years ago. I met the guys, and they told me that story. Amazing, yeah.
How cool!
Love that. I want to talk to you about your News of the World titles, especially the one that you've done without dropping a leg, because we speak on this show a lot. The best of three all the way through. I love the format. It is brilliant. And we now see like the old videos of Alexandra Palace packed to the rafters. And back then when you won them, they were as good, or maybe if not better, than winning the world title, weren't they?
Well, before it was the world title.
Yeah.
The BDO only started the world title in 1978. The News of the World went 60 years before that. No, 1928 it started the News of the World. If you could buy a paper, because it was the biggest paper in the world. It went to more countries than any other country. You could fill the form in, get 8 people, play off, and then you play your pub, and you go. It takes 10 months to qualify for the final. 10 months. Toss of a coin, best of 3, 501, 8 foot on an elm board with tiny little trebles and doubles. No hardly any light on it. Tough. I got there in 1978. Got to the finals. Eric was with me and he's dead. I got beat. I was gutted. I thought all that work I've done. I thought I've got to win it. I've got to go through it again. Anyway, I went all the way through and I didn't even know I'd done that. I never dropped a leg from start to finish for 10 months. And I've done 15 darts or under every leg. In fact, if you look on your records, I didn't know this till last year. I was the first man to ever to win a title for the highest average on a television tournament. I was the first man to have over 100 average. I didn't even know that till last year. So I've done something in the sport. Tough to do.
Oh, I think your legacy on the sport is right up there with some of the greats. When we look at it, getting to a world final with a broken back and so on, how have you managed that? Because getting to a world championship is hard enough, but getting to a final with a broken back is almost impossible.
Well, I was playing so well that year. I played all right in other years. Eric beat me once in the final, but I got to different few semis than that. One of them tournaments, win or you don't win. It's a tournament. It's got world in front on it. They play the same in the world as they're doing on their league on the Monday league. You play to win, don't you? You don't play no different.
Yeah.
For me, well, I was playing so well, and I done my back against Kevin Kenny. Right, I jumped up in the air, and the floor on them stages got a spring in them, and the spring, I went down and it come up and it snapped me back, and I thought, I knew I was in trouble then. In fact, Kevin Kenny, bless him, he said, "You've done your back, haven't you?" I went, "Yeah." Anyway, I won that match, and then I had to go to hospital, and it's just so painful, you know. You can't, you never remember pain. That's a good thing. Otherwise, you'll be in pain all the time. I went to the hospital. They said, "Well, you can't play. You've snapped your back. We can't give you any painkillers because you could damage it. If you do go and play, you can do something really bad, paralyse myself." I thought, oh dear. Anyway, I had a corset made, right? No suspender belt, it's just a corset, right? I just put that in to make the conversation more interesting. So, anyway, they made this corset tightened up to give me an enema, so I couldn't toilet or nothing. Tighten this corset up. I was rigid. But I could score pretty good, but I couldn't move my body. I couldn't go. So you don't realise when you're playing darts how much of the body you use. You think it's just your arm and your eyes and your brain working, but it's all your body. You turn a bit to the left when you go over 16s, bit to the right, double 10, more straight up, but to the right for 40. All them, you use your body more times. When you got a bad back, you realise that. Because I couldn't move my body to get a double. And I was 4-2 down, and I thought, and he won 4-1. He went 60-45 and clipped the wire 36. And he never had a shot after that. Amazing. Whoa. Something happened to my body. I thought, fight. I won't say the words I used in my head. Fight. Come on. You've got to do it. And I beat him. He didn't win a league after that. It's just, I don't know, I've done it. Then I had to go back in hospital. And the problem what I had they used to have a break. They used to play the Friday, had the Saturday off, play the Sunday. But they changed. Right. I had to play the Friday, then the Saturday, the final. Nothing against Party. I don't say nothing away from him. He beat me, that's it. He don't care if I've got no arms. He played for the World Championship, didn't he? But I couldn't move me. I watched the tape. He didn't outscore me. I had loads of chances at doubles. Or something, 50 or doubles. You can check it. I had a lot of doubles. But I couldn't hit a double because I couldn't move. Double top, I probably hit all right. But to the left and the right, bottom, I went through the motions. I thought, come on, Party, hit the double. Let's get it over with. You know? What I think was saying in my mind. I just wanted to get off the stage and lay down or get out the pain. In fact, my driver took my shoes off and he emptied the sweat out of my shoes. That's how I sweated.
How long did it take, Bobby, after that, before you felt sort of, I use the word normal again, how long was that process, from the injury to getting on to the hockey and thinking, it's back to normal now?
It took a year.
Wow.
Because when I had the operation, I came out shorter.
Wow.
Shorter than I was before. I was 6'4", nearly 6'4", come out 6 foot.
Whoa.
I wasn't looking down on the board, I'm looking
you
up.
You start throwing low all of a sudden.
So I had to learn to play. It's different. I thought there was something wrong here, Yeah. I realised I'm shorter. And then I taught myself to play. All right, I qualified quite a few times more, because Ollie never put me straight in. I had to go for the qualifier rounds, which is hard. And I won that 6 times or something. I don't know, something. I won it quite a lot to get to the real tournament. Other players, he put in. I don't know why he done that, but he did. He put Eric went in when he didn't qualify. Jockey went in. There's a Belgium, Claris, is it? Was it Claris?
Yeah, Claris.
There's 2 boys from Wales went in. I had to go and qualify.
You were a bit unlucky as well, I think, when at some of the draws that you then got. I think to after certainly that last one when you qualified and then drawn against Barney in the opening round, you must have been thinking, God, what have I got to do here to get a chance?
Yeah, I was on a 9 darter as well against him.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he beat me 3-1 or 3-2. I can't remember. I know he beat me, but. Yeah, but it doesn't matter who you play, really. When you get to that standard, you're not worried about, he's won this, he's won that. Like the boys of the day, they won't say like about Humphreys, we've got Humphreys. They play all the time. Well, I was meeting Barneville and different things, and he's just a dart player to me, But that was the last time I played. Well, I think it was the last time I played.
How?
2000 and something, can't remember now.
Yeah, I think In the World Championship, yeah, it was the last World Championship.
Yeah, 2004 was it?
2002.
Was it?
Yeah, 2002. That one against Barney in the first round.
You know more than me, mate. Anyway,
but Bobby, I wish I did. I've got it on another screen. I'll always run up to it. It's not knowledge; it's just another screen.
That's another thing. When I'm punditing, I done it off my head, right? A lot of them read it now.
Yeah,
and that
right.
It's. I always think. So when I look, because we watch so much darts from all different places, and there are people, like I know I've done it, is that like 3 screens and then my phone, and then I'll have somebody else elsewhere texting me bits of bits of information and things.
Yeah.
But then you look back to a slightly different, and even now there are people now that like don't have any of that shut off, and they can just do like the memory that people, and I have the utmost respect for anybody that can, because I certainly can't.
Well, after a time, you get used to it. You know, especially doing live telly. All I remember is don't swear. And
yeah, we're not good at that on this show.
Once I said I always think I don't swear. I've got a little man in my head saying don't swear all the time I'm talking. He said I've got the same little man. So everyone must think that don't swear, don't you?
Yeah, you know? That little man has a night off on a Monday night on this show. He doesn't bother. He goes to the pub and leaves us to it.
Does he?
Oh yeah, it's fun. We're here.
What was it like back in the day, Bob, when you had you, Jockey, Eric, and all that? Was it as funny looking in as we are being involved in that time? Because it must have been so good.
Well, it's different. There's more characters, really. I'm not saying there's no characters in darts now, but you had a chance to show your sort of character. Jockey, Jockey was one. He threw darts like he's throwing hand grenades, and the more he drank, the better he got. He did. He got better. I played pairs with him. He couldn't even walk, and he's hitting 180s everything because he didn't know. He didn't know what he was doing. Eric mouthing off, but he was John Love serious, all tidy and that. But it's all they're different characters. They were all had different sort of handles to their name. Today they're more sheltered. They're more looked after better. Can't go in the audience. Can't have a dart shirt on. They're all sort of like pushed in a room, so you don't get to know them because they're not doing exhibitions. Even when they do exhibitions, it's not on the floor, it's on a stage.
Yeah, it's separate from the fans, isn't it?
Yeah, it separates from the fans, so the fans don't get to know them. That was the good times, was when you went to a club and you had 200 or 300 people, maybe more, and you're in the middle of them. It was a buzz. It was completely different when you're on the stage. It's completely different. Not the same sort of thing, but that's all they know. So I think a couple of them said they'd done some on the floor and they thought it was really good. It was really, they were pleased to do it on the floor. You had a lot more fun,
Yeah, definitely. We've got a question in the chat room. Says, give us your best Jockey story. What's your best memory or best story about Jockey?
Oh dear. Right. Went to America with Jockey, okay. I picked him up by the Rolls Royce in days. I picked him up at the station. I went to pick his suitcase up and I nearly fell over. There was nothing in it. I said, what you got in here? It's really light. He said, I've got a pair of socks. I said, a pair of socks? Yeah. I said, why do you bring a suitcase for? He said, it looks better when you go in the hotel, doesn't it? That's what he said to me. But the funniest thing is when we first went there, we won some tournament or we got some prize money. We had a few drinks. Well, he loved to drink, but he loved Chinese, right? But he used to go through him straight away, the Chinese. And we got to this hotel, and it was the first time we ever see a card to put in a door.
All right.
Put in red, no, put it in green, don't you? He said, "Oh, hurry up! I want to show it." He said, "I want to show it." I put the key in, red. Hurry up. I want to go quicker. I need one. Hurry up. Put it in, red. Turn it over, green. Here we go. Too late, he said.
Oh.
That's what made me laugh. He walked straight in the room, right? Took his fags out of the pocket, and he walked in the shower with his clothes on. I cried. But he cried, I did. He used to make me laugh so much. He didn't know he was funny. But Jockey was very polite. People don't think he's a drunk or something. He never drank at all when we didn't play darts. That's the funny thing. So have a day off, he wouldn't have a drink. Weird, isn't it? But he was very polite. If he was in a room and all the seats were taken and a lady walked in, he would get up and say, "Here, darling, have a seat." You wouldn't think Jockey was like that, would you?
That's
So
brilliant.
people had the wrong impression of him, you know? But he was, I would say, when he's playing darts, he's like a bumblebee. Right? Now, bumblebee, the ratio of his wings to his body, in physics, he can't fly. But do you know why he does? Because he don't know he can't. And that's Jockey Wilson. I called him.
I love that.
I said, called him the bumblebee. Because he didn't know if he was winning or losing. He just, unbelievable he was. He used to make me laugh, though. I had a lot of fun with John. I had a lot of fun with him. It's a shame people took advantage of him and, you know, give him a vodka and he was your mate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, he's a nice bloke, he was. I missed him.
Where did all the razzmatazz come from? Because you were the one that reinvented the walk-on and the cape, the canberra and all that. Where did all the razzmatazz come from? And where did you decide, hang on a minute, this needs to change?
The first time, because first of all, against Eric, I had trousers with sequins on the bottom. I had a sequin shirt. And I was like a Liberace, I suppose they must have called me. And I was at Jolly's and I walked on the stage and they gave me a great big candelabra, you know?
Yeah.
Big lights on it. And I walked on, and everyone got their lighters out. And we're moving with the light. I thought, God, that's different. Just with candles.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing, isn't it, really? And even Ollie said, you got your candles with you? I thought, oh, no. Do the same again. Well, I put a cloak with it, you know, to make it more sort of Del Boyish, I suppose. I felt like Del Boy running down Peckham Road dressed as Batman when I got the cloak on. So the fun of it was when I thought I'd have music, walk-on music, because it was dead. The players come on, play, and it goes dead. And they walk on the stage. The introducer is dead as a doornail. And Bob Wilson was the cameraman, and I said, it's not very sort of buzzing now. He said, no. I said, we need some music. He said, that's why you want music. I said, look, ask the B before I could have walk-on music. So he did. They said, yeah, we'll try it. And I asked Ollie, and he didn't know what I was talking about, I don't think. He went, yeah, all right. So I didn't actually pick the song, but I said to Martin Fitzmaurice, pick a good song for me. Well, they called me Mr. Glitter, or Glitter, didn't they? I've been loads of names, but one of them was Glitter. And I was going to go on the stage at the way, at the candles and that. And a motorbike, vroom, 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 vroom. I could hear him coming.
I can see him going.
Yeah, he's going, coming and going.
He was coming and going at the same time.
I'm sure Bobby will be back in a second. I'll tell you what, I'm loving some of these stories, Dan. They are incredible.
Oh, it's such a privilege, isn't it? It's
and
I know that.
Is
Do we have a flash there?
Oh, Bobo might be back.
And it's amazing because it's snippets of what people can read in the book. which is very cool. But I think it's amazing to hear it straight out of his mouth. It's why I quite got into audiobooks. I know that like the Wayne Mardle's book I've got on the shelf over there, but when I listened to the audiobook because Wayne read it out loud, and because there is something just slightly different about hearing those stories out of the mouth of the person that experienced it, and it's very cool and fun to read it. But there is just no substitute for them explaining to you their experiences and telling you what happened and being able to answer questions about it as well. It's a real privilege, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. And I know the chat room are enjoying it as well. We'll give Bobby a sec, see if we can get him back in.
See if we can get him logged back in.
But yeah, this is the old stories. And I agree with him that the characters aren't there like there were back in the day. Yes, they're incredible players. And you could say more professional, but we don't get this. Do you know what I mean?
No, and I think I was really interested in his point about when he was talking about players doing exhibitions and that separation that exists now between players and fans and the interaction in between. And I sort of get to a large degree why that needs to happen because, like, let's be honest, we've been to a lot of darts venues where a lot of the fans were pricks. You wouldn't want them, you don't want them near you, never mind the darts players. But at the same time, we've also been in environments where the fans are absolutely amazing, and where players have been able to get in amongst it and spend a bit of time with them. Like the best probably I've seen it in recent years is at the seniors, where we've seen players really sort of interacting well with fans on an equal footing and sort of enjoying socializing together and retelling old stories and catching up. And yeah, I think those, exhibitions are or certainly were like quite special when they existed like that on the floor, and that interaction of people just chatting in a pub and watching people off the telly, because, they are a little bit different now, and I know why they have to be, but it's very separate and structured, and, queue up to see somebody at a table very quickly. And, it's still very good and it's a good experience for people, but it's not what they used to be.
No, 100%. And this is what we're talking about, where Bobby is so well known. Even to this day, everyone knows who Bobby is and what he does, because he's built that persona, he's built that rapport with the fans and so on. A bit like Nathan Aspinall is doing now, where Aspinall has carved out this people's champion thing, gets to know people, you see him interacting with the fans and so on. He's doing very much like Bobby used to, but just in a different way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still think that Bobby, and it's because of the look that he went for and the various different things that he added to his character and his persona. But he is one of few dart players on darts personalities that really transcend outside of people that watch darts and have seen darts before. You could go into work and you could wander around the finance department at work and show a picture, and 90% of people would say, "Oh yeah, darts bloke." I know, like, people recognise him. He is a part of not darts culture, but like British culture. He is a part of British culture. And the more dart players that can do that, transcend that. We've seen it a great deal recently with Luke Littler, breaking down the walls from darts into the outside world, and people who've never watched a darts match knowing who he is. Well, the more people that do that, the better for darts, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just going to do this and that. If we can get Bobby back in, we will bring him back in, because it was incredible listening to Bobo. And if we can't get him back in, I promise everyone we will get him on again, because he has so many stories.
Primarily just because we want to. It's a very selfish act for me on mine and Phil's behalf, because we just want to hear him talk more.
Well, even to the point where we might even do a special just with Bob or something like that, because the stories he can tell is incredible. And if you haven't yet, his book is out there. I'm only halfway through, but I would highly, highly recommend. It has been absolutely an incredible read so far. It really has. The one and only Mr. Bobby Jaws. Legend is an overused word in sport, in my opinion. However, not overused in this instance.
No, not at all. And I think it's probably correct as well, because like there are, and again, you know, he'd be the first to say, you know, that there are, if you look at the record books, you know, there are lots of players that have lifted more pots, you know, put their hands on more trophies and lifted them up, that, you know, certainly probably on the television than Bobby did. But he has, like I said, transcended the sport. He is part of British culture, not just darts culture as well, and that's why he has that as a legend of the sport, because of the eyes that he was able to bring to it. And even now, you know, after all the years he's been at it, he can still pluck a story that hasn't been heard before and give everybody a little bit of a taste of years gone by. And he spent so much time around other huge names and interesting characters and interesting people as well. That there's no end to the amount that he can offer on that front. It's really cool.
No, 100%. And it was a pleasure. Like I say, I promise that if we can't get him back today, we will get him back on. There is absolutely no question about that whatsoever. Right. The World Cup of Darts is on the horizon. However, before we talk about it more in general, shots were fired this evening. I'm going to play this and then we'll discuss.
Hey.
Yeah, 100%. They don't care that the world 1 and 2. Don't care. It's us Welsh boys. We're going to stop them. So, all jokes aside, we're there to try and win a trophy. You know, we've done it twice before. We believe that we can do it a third time. You want to win trophies, you've got to beat big names and good players. So, if they're seeded number ones, we have to beat the number 1 seeds. So, look out.
You've come into some form recently. Gezi is playing well. Do you feel that the time is right for both of you to get your hands on that third crown?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, I've answered a few questions tonight already, and you know, we're both in good form. So, you know, Gez has just come out of the Premier League finals night. You know, I'm playing tidy darts, so it's like we're ready to go. You know, we want this trophy. You know, it's all the headlines are the 2 Lukes. You know, and then the other bit is, can Johnny and Gezi, you know, stop them? No, Johnny and Gezi will stop them if we meet them.
Go on, Johnny. This is what, and like, I've missed Johnny Clayton from like that regular, you know, like because he wasn't in the Premier League, and we haven't had that regular of Johnny just like stirring the pot and like just little digs here and there and tapping everyone on the shoulder, reminding him that he's there. And it was, what a refreshing little dig. I'm very happy with that.
I tell you what, we might have some good news. I think we've got some good news, folks.
Oh, it looks good news.
I think we have got some good news for you all. Sorry, the World Cup's getting scrapped.
Yeah, fuck the World Cup.
Because fuck the World Cup. We're doing this.
Fuck the World Cup. We got some more.
Bobo's back. He's back, everyone.
Okay, I lost you for a while.
That's all right.
Nice things about me to waste time. I know what it was.
Not at all. Truthful.
I don't know what I was up to. I was after talking to walk-ons, wasn't I? Talking about the walk-ons.
Yeah.
So, Martin Fitzmaurice, he the MC, he chose the record. It was "You Want to Be in My Game" by Gary Glitter, which was a great record because everyone knew the words. See, then naughty boy was, so I had to change it to "We Are the Champions."
Which is,
but if you listen to the words, "We Are," I didn't say I am.
Yeah,
I've had me ups and downs, been kicked down, sand in my face, all that. same thing what I done in my darts. And it's one of the longest records there is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I didn't know, this is sort of like one of the funny facts, that on that, is it an LP? It's on an LP, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know what the LP was called?
Oh.
Can you get it?
I know it, and as soon as you say it, it's going to bug me.
It's
Yeah.
called The News of the World.
So,
It's called The News of the World. Isn't that weird?
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. And I only knew that a couple of weeks ago. I thought, well, isn't it funny that one thing can connect to another and you don't know about it, you know?
Yeah, and from the album News of the World, it's just come up there. Yeah, how cool. Yeah, that connection of that.
Connection, yeah, you never think of it. And it's
No.
It's really weird, isn't it? Really, that things happen like that.
Yeah, especially to find something out afterwards. If the story was, well, we saw this record and this song was on the, you thought, oh, yeah, that's a...
Yeah, and I thought, well, it's something that a lot of dart players don't know and probably don't want to know either.
Well, with all this razzmatazz that you bought,
the walk-ons, I didn't know at the time that it would be a part of the game. You would never think music would be part of the game in darts, but it is a big part of the game. The audience get involved, especially if they know the songs that people would know. Sometimes I listen to the walk-ons of the guys, I don't even know the song. They're a waste of time. You might as well sing Happy Birthday or something, you know what I mean? Because you know the words, don't you? You know, you got to pick the words to the person. Like when I used to play Michael for fun in motors things, I used to come on to Help by the Beatles.
Well, speaking of Michael, can you tell the story about
because he beat me up, like, you know what I mean?
Can you tell the story to everyone about when Michael put his number in your phone? Because this is I've heard that this is brilliant.
So he called, "Hello, Granddad, how you going?" Yeah. And a few other more words with that. Anyway, he said, "I changed my number, Granddad." I said, "Well, put it in the phone. I don't want to keep ringing in, not the right number." So I give him my phone. He said, "I'll put this in." Said, "Give me a buzz to do dates." I said, "All right." So I'm ringing. I'm ringing. I'm looking for MG, looking down my phone. No, Michael, no. Hank Curry, no, nothing. So I'm going to the motor store about a week later. "I thought you were going to ring me, Granddad." I said, "I was. I couldn't find your number." He said, "I'll show you." You know what he put it under? He put it under a B. Not MG, not M or G, a B. Best in the world, he put.
He probably wasn't lying at the time.
That's good humour. Right? Best. I've still got it in my phone. Best in the world. So if I want to phone him, I've got to press B. Yeah.
I love that.
He's a nice lad, and I like him.
Yeah. With all the walk-ons that you upset Mr. Lowe back in the day as well, didn't you? Which I think you quite enjoyed.
Well, you know, I know Lobo. We don't see eye to eye all the time. But we're all different, aren't we? You know, we're all different. He can say things about me. Sometimes I think, idiot. You know, I could say things about him and it's the same. But he didn't like the walk-ons and I didn't like not having the walk-ons. I liked the razzmatazz and the fun, and John was more serious. He didn't think it was a circus. But we all got our own opinions, don't we?
Yeah.
The world go round. So really the banter me and John had was pretty good because it's more entertaining.
A couple of people are asking what we do what we call the Mount Rushmore of darts. Who is your best four players? If you're putting four players on a pedestal, who would Bobby George have on there?
Well, the thing is, you can say the modern players, obviously. You know, you're talking about modern players or
it's your four. You can pick whoever you like.
Well, a lot of people go for the modern player, but it probably wasn't any better than the players of the early days. Just different ball, different lighting, everything's different. The players that, I mean, all right, you say Eric because he was mouthy and he was a good player. I liked Alan Glazier. He was a very good player, Alan Glazier. Left-hander. I beat him in the New South Wales final, as it happens. But he won quite a few tournaments. Lovely guy as well. And then you go to the modern player. You got Humphreys. You know, I think Humphreys is a great player. Luke Little is not bad either. When he ain't got his nappy on. Anyway, because they're selling they buy his darts with a set of nappies now, you know. Only joking.
Starting them younger.
Look, there's some good players. There's so many good ones. So I would say like mates I would go for. And, you know, more friendly people. I like Michael. Put it out. Modern player. I like Michael. I like Humphreys. Top player in the modern time. I like Eric.
Yeah.
Sort of some of the time. Not all. Eric was great from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 8:30. After that, he was a nuisance. And I tell the truth, he was an absolute nuisance. I've got him out some scrapes. He would have got his head punched in loads of time. So rude. But that was him. Doctor check the beer. Have the beer down and doctor check on Mr. Owen. But as a person, if he wasn't drinking, he was a nice bloke. I knew him when he was a kid. So, and I like Alan Glazier as a person and a good dart player.
I like that. But Bobby's for Bristow, Glazier, Humphreys, and Van Gogh, and I like that.
Yeah.
That's that. Oh, talking on Eric, obviously he features quite heavily in your book. You must have had some of the best times and worst with Eric for years.
I had more worse times with Eric than I did have good times. No, he was all right, Eric. He was. I know how he used to tick. You know, he was great to play pairs with, or in a 4-man team or a triple. You couldn't wish for a better team player, you know. But the time I remember, England played Scotland. Right, I can't remember what year it was now, and the first 12 players, right? England were 11-0 up, right? And I had to play last. So you give me all the stick, don't you lose, Bobo? I'll leave it out, Eric. He said, you're on in a minute. Can't lose, Bobo. Oh, he's going to lose. I said, shut up, you tarts. Well, they all got at me, see? Yes, you are. Glazier, all of them had a giggle. It's only a giggle anyway. So I go on the stage. They're only behind the stage setting. And Eric's looking through the crack of the stage setting. I'm throwing up. I've got 100. I took me darts at it here. You're going to lose, Bobo. I thought, no. I could hear him through the wall. Like near the dartboard. You're going to lose, Bobo. They give me some stick. And I didn't. I got the man of the match.
Hey!
Love that.
I got the man of the match for England that time. Yeah. But that was a lot of pressure on me. I mean, 11-0 up. And you're the only one that loses. So, in fact, if I lost, I would have had more press than them who won.
Yeah, that'd have been the story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be the story. Bobby Jules, you don't want to lose. You know, I would still nick the headlines. But, yeah, I'll never forget that. Shouting down the crack of the, you know, when they put the dartboard up and they meet the screen. See, and I could hear him. You're going to miss Bobo. Bobo's going to miss. Oh, there. That was terrible. But that was fun. You know, you had to take that. You know, you get the ump with it. I just went along with it and I can't remember who I played, and I beat him and I got man of the match. So it backfired on them, didn't it?
You guys of that generation, yourself, Jockey, Eric, and so on, if we could time travel and put you guys in today's environment, with these sold out arenas at the O2 and whatever. Obviously, we know you loved it back then, but could you have taken it to another level again in this current audience and something like that?
I don't know. It must be great to have that audience every television tournament. They do fill it up. I've got to give them that. I mean, a lot of them are not there for the darts. We know that, but they can't complain about booing and poor old Goring Price. They get booed. He's a lovely guy. He's not nasty. They boo. They don't know him. You know.
No. It's pantomime, isn't it? It's what it is.
Police that. You can't police it. And without them coming through the door, they ain't going to get the prize money, are they?
No.
So you've got to bite your lip and carry on. But I would have really enjoyed it, me. I would have milked it right good and proper, mate. I would have done. They would have hated me at the end of the tour.
So we had 17 weeks of that.
In the nicest possible way, I would have done that, you know, not nasty. It's all, you need that. You need a bit of, like Eric used to say, "Oh, Bobo, what, you got a one-day return and we're there for the week," you know? You get all that, but you accept all that. You know, you just carry on, don't you?
Yeah.
But you need that wind-up, I think. That what makes the game interesting itself. Or if you get players that don't like players, you want to watch them to see if the other one's going to punch him, don't you? Or he's going to swear at him, or he's going to chuck his darts on the floor and sulk. You know?
Yeah.
That's you do, don't you?
100%.
You know, you think, oh, it's going to be aggro here. You would watch this, but today they don't have that. But Eric, look at Eric and Alan Evans. Look, they hated each other. Hated each other, them two. And when he beat Eric in the embassy, oh dear, Eric must have felt a right idiot because he got beat by the person that he couldn't stand, you know. But Alan Evans was a nice guy as well. He was very good on the mic. He could very well, you know. I remember, I'll just tell you a quick story. I've done an exhibition with him in Wales. And he stayed at a pub called the Ferndale pub in Ferndale. And he went, "Don't get a hotel," he said. "Bob, you're going to get, my dad's got rooms. He put you up." So I went, "Oh, all right then." So we finished out the exhibition. Wasn't far to go. Got to his pub. We had a pint. And I said, "What room am I in?" His dad went, "Oh, no. I let the room out." I went, "Oh, dear." I said, "Well, I'll get him in the car park then." And I said, "No, you can share. I've got a double bed. You can share with me." See? So I took the sequin shirts off, took my shirt off. He said, "You're not gay, are you?" I said, "You'll find out in a minute." No. But that's what he was like. He's really comical.
Yeah.
He was like that. People don't know he's like that. You know? They don't see that side. He was funny. I like Alan Evans. He's a good dart player and all. Very good on 180s. Marvellous 180 player.
He was famously beaten by Muhammad Ali, wasn't he, in a darts match?
Well, that was just, you ain't going to beat him.
Yes, you wouldn't want to beat him, would you?
That's all set up, isn't it? You do that, don't you?
Yes.
He's a guest of Wales. He was a guest. You don't beat, but he couldn't beat him up.
No, that's it. I think he got told he was winning.
He could probably crack his kneecap, and that's about it.
Yeah, you didn't argue. He hit the bullseye, and I went, "Yeah, fine, you got it."
Well, that was all fun, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was another good character in darts. People don't really mention him much, but them guys probably made the way for everyone, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
There was Jockey, we're all characters, and they probably made the way for the guys of today, you know.
Definitely, 100%.
We couldn't be all good like the guys of today. Can't be all good, can we?
Bobby, thank you so much for joining us on the live lounge this evening. We haven't laughed so much in a long time. The chat room have absolutely loved it as well. So can't thank you enough for coming on.
Pleasure.
And I say, and everyone, if you haven't yet, make sure you go and get your copy of Still Here, Bobby George, the King of Bling.
That's what I always say. People say, "How you doing, Bob?" I said, "Still here."
Yeah.
And my wife said, "You've got to put that in your book. Still here."
100%.
Still here tomorrow. Be lucky, and may the darts be with you.
Everyone, thank you very much to the one and only Mr. Bobby George. Thank you very much, Bobo.
It's a pleasure, son.
Thank you, mate. See you later.
Pleasure.
I tell you what, that was blooming incredible. I loved every single second of that, Dan. When the show's done, I'm going to speak to Bobby and Marie, and we're going to get him on for a whole show.
Yeah, we need to get like so. It's
we'll do a special, and we will get him on for the whole show.
My phone's
hours.
My phone's lighting up a bit tonight. I keep having to grab it because people are taking notice that we've got some A-list
starting royalty, shall we say?
Yeah, we've broken out the A-listers onto the show this week.
Oh, absolutely incredible from Bobby George. And I would say, if you haven't yet, please go and get his book. It is right up there with listens and reads. It is superb. Right, we will concentrate on the World Cup now because, as we say, Johnny Clayton has
run out of time.
yeah, no, everyone. Johnny Clayton has, to be fair though, I love that attitude from Johnny.
Love it.
England.
I mean, I think honestly, I've missed it. Like I say, in not having Johnny in the Premier League, we haven't had that regular input of him just shithousing people and just tapping people on the shoulder, just keeping, like, metaphorically reminding them, I'm still here. I can beat you. I will beat you. Like I'm very, very good. And the form has been on the up. Gezzy's form has been good, and we know that there is a bit more, like, we have in glimpses it's been far better than good. In glimpses he's been unplayable. If they both turn up and go at it like they can, then they are a very good prospect. I'm not sure. I think you have to, looking at, and we'll talk a bit more in detail about the other teams in it. You have to look at the draw and say, well, the most likely outcome is going to be an England-Wales final, especially seeded the way that they are, knowing that they can't meet until the final. One of those teams has got to have a complete catastrophe to not make the final, I think. But if they play each other, I do think that is it's not a straightforward game. It's not a gimme.
No, I agree. I'm interested to see what frame of mind Gezzy's in and what changed Gezzy's mind to play, because I know that he wasn't going to up until very recently. I'm interested to see what changed his mind.
I'd like to think it's Johnny.
And quite possible.
And also, let's be honest, it's a weekend's work, and if it's 30 grand to make a semi-final, like it's especially with the draw seeded the way that he is, like, it could be a solid weekend's work for those two lads. Like they can go there, they can collect a few quid. Is he booked his place already in the Slam? No, not yet. Like, there's another reason to make sure that you try and have a run to the final at least, isn't it? So I think there's probably a number of reasons. I'm very glad that he has. When I heard that there was a possibility that his intention wasn't to do so, I was a bit frustrated, because I think, like anything, any darts tournament is better for having Gezzy Price in it. It's a better, regardless of what the tournament is, whether it's pairs, whether it's World Cup, singles, whatever. Like, the tournament will be better if Gezzy Price is in it. With the greatest of respect to the other Welsh players, I think maybe, if you've got another Welsh player in the top 16, then that might be a slightly different decision, because then, we know he's good pals with Johnny, and they've done really well together before. He might not feel like he was dropping Johnny in the shit as much if he was, if there was another like really solid Welsh player, top 16, who could step into his shoes, then he might not feel as much like he was letting the side down, letting the country down a bit. But in the absence of, a very strong third player from Wales at present, then I think he's almost sort of responsible for representing his country, and I think he'd have to have a very good reason to not. Otherwise, you can see how people would find that an unpopular decision.
Yeah, I know, 100%. And look, people said, why wouldn't he? Look, Michael withdrew before, obviously, we knew that of the personal issues that Michael had. He withdrew. So it's not as easy as just going, why? Some people just don't fancy it.
He got some stick for it, though, didn't he? And people do.
Yeah, 100 agreed.
And I also think that Gezi would get more stick for it, because unfortunately that's just the way of darts for Gezi. So I think he would get a lot of stick. But yeah, I just think that, the fact that there isn't a third player that is right up there that can really step into his shoes and be competitive is an interesting one. I think he would have felt like he was letting Johnny down, letting the side down a bit in terms of Wales, because there isn't that third player that you could really have the confidence in. And I think as long as that slam spot is not secure for him, then that remains a factor. As well as, let's be honest, a fair chunk of prize money. And some of these countries, whilst I love the World Cup, I genuinely love it, and I love the the chaos that we could get. Some of these countries are shite. And if it gets if you knock off a couple of wins as a seed, then you've just banked you banked 10 grand for fuck all, really, beating some lads that you should really beat very comfortably.
Yeah,
I think there's a few. I think it's worth noting that we're going to see Dimitri van den Berg, because we're not seeing Dimitri van den Berg for quite some time. Certainly not seeing him throw a dart for some time. I think that'll be very interesting to see how Team Belgium get on. We've seen fun and games in the past from Team Belgium. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see them. I think we're going to see those two fall out with each other and go at each other on stage. But I do think that
I do hope so, because it adds something.
It'd be fucking brilliant if they would. But I am very interested to see where the form of Dimitri van den Berg is, because if this is Dimitri van den Berg back and back to playing darts regularly, then that's interesting, because that boy's got some fucking work to do. Like, he's ranked number 22 in the world at the moment, and he's got some work to do.
Well, it's going to be a big ask, because we don't know where. We've got nothing to base his form off of. That even if he's been having a practice at home and so on, as Chris Mason famously once said, you can't practice shitting yourself.
Correct.
So you can do all the work you want to at home. There's no match practice going into a TV tournament. So, do I expect a lot from Belgium? No. Could they cause a surprise? 100%. Right. Let's look at the groups, because there's some good, there's some bad, and there's some shite.
Oh, there's some shite. You better believe it.
Look, Group A, chat room, get involved as well. We want your winners of each group. We have Group A, the Netherlands, Italy, and Hungary. I think this is fairly a formality.
Yeah, I want the Italians to win. They ain't gonna. They ain't gonna win, folks.
100%. I'd love the Italians to win.
Yeah,
they were brilliant last year. The Italians were one of the highlights.
yeah.
I like you said, I don't see them causing an upset.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. But I like that. I like that group. I think it's a watchable group. But yeah, Netherlands are going to piss it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I agree. Group B: Belgium, Latvia, the Philippines.
Man. I mean, fuck it. Let's do it. Latvia win.
Are you manifesting chaos?
Yeah, because Belgium are going to implode. We've no idea where Dimitri van den Berg is, but we know where Matthias Rasmer is. We also know that, Melderis can play, so we're told. Latvia coming through.
I'm going to manifest more chaos.
You're going the other way. Go on.
I'm going the Philippines.
Yes, I knew you were getting. Yeah.
I'm going. Lawrence Alagan plays brilliantly, and Paulo Nebreda bores everyone to death with his pace.
Yeah. Could happen, though. Could happen.
What we saw at the Worlds, Nebreda's pace caused issues for people on that stage
who should have won. Yeah. He might out Dimitri.
100%.
Mind you, that could be a fucking tedious game to watch. Those two going at it, trying to see who can slow the other one down the most. That could be a rough watch. That one.
Yeah. I think Group C for me looks fairly obvious. Germany, the number 7 seeds, Portugal and Singapore. I actually really like the German pair.
Yeah, I think the German pair is strong.
I'm going to put this comment up.
What's that?
Dimitri and that fella could be like water torture.
Yeah, honestly, that could be a tough watch. That one, a tough watch. I think the German team look really solid. I like the idea of Schindler and Petrescu as a pair. I think it's quite a dynamic young team. I think Singapore just not. I mean, yes, Paul. We love Paul Lim. We fucking love him, but he's not in a place where he's going to compete at this level, not against the German lads.
That's what I mean. He is an absolute legend.
Yeah, however, but he's just not competing at that level.
At that level enough.
And Jose de Souza is a shadow. Not just a shadow of the former player, but a shadow on a speck in the distance. Like he is a million miles away.
Gone. The action is broken down.
Yeah, if you've put in 50 pence on something to happen at the World Cup, have Germany winning that group because they'll piss it.
Group D: Ireland, Gibraltar, and China. Now, this group intrigues me because on paper, Ireland should walk it. William O'Connor is playing very well at the moment. However, Keane Barry is very erratic. Now, if he plays well, they will walk it.
Yeah.
But if he's off, it's still very hard for one man to carry a team through. Now, I don't think it'll be the Gibraltarians, but there is something that I like about this Chinese team. I'm waiting for Zhong to replicate what he does in the Chinese Premier League and so on the World Cup stage. Now, look, he might rock up and he might play like he has the last couple of times. He's not played particularly well. However, this is all if, buts, and maybes. Like I said,
the potential's there.
If William O'Connor and Keane Barry both play well, they absolutely walk the group. No question whatsoever. But if Keane is off, I think China could spring an upset. But certain things have to happen for that to go down that route. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think you'd make them. On without
on paper,
going
I'm
wrong
on
elsewhere.
but I still think
And that's it. It needs something to go wrong, and it also needs both of them to play somewhere close to their best, because both of them at their best, hovers somewhere around Keane Barry's B game. Like so they've it's not even just Keane Barry not being at the races. I think they've got to lift their game and play as good as they can, which we haven't seen from the Chinese in recent years. But yeah, I mean, it's the way anything can happen, and anything can happen on a stage. Don't get me wrong. I think I really like both the Irish guys, but I'd love to see it happen because we want chaos. We want something wild to go.
I fully expect Ireland to top that group, but I'm just saying it might not be as straightforward as we all think.
Correct.
Group E: Poland, the seed, South Africa, and Norway. Again, my heart would love Devin Peterson and Cameron Carolison to cause an upset, but I just think Poland will just be steady and do enough.
Yeah, I just think that they're too far away from the other teams at the minute, and it's difficult with the World Cup to not just keep focusing on the seeds coming through, isn't it? But yeah. I just think the level that they're at is too far away. You would need, again, it's that combination of it's not just them to have a bad day, it's them to have a bad day and the other guys to be above the level that we've recently seen from them. And that's and you need both of those things to happen over the course of 3 games. And I just can't see it. The Polish team, whilst they're not, you probably wouldn't say they're dynamic. They don't do crazy things, but they're pretty solid and pretty consistent. And you are unlikely to get a stinker from them. They'll turn up and they'll find a level and stick to it. And for that reason, I can't see a scenario.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I don't think Norway particularly trouble Poland either.
Not at the minute, not at the moment. I don't think.
Right, Group F. I like this: Canada, Malaysia, and Denmark. And although I don't think this is Canada's best team, it is obviously because they're both tour card holders. I actually think Canada will come through this. I think they are better than Malaysia and Denmark.
Oh, I think without a doubt they're better, and I think it won't help that that Drew Roos got pumped 6-0 the other day, which I think is 4 years on the spin in that event. He's been pummeled and whitewashed. I don't think that'll help matters. I think we've seen very positive things lately from Matt Campbell. We've seen him going on a bit of a run at Euro Tour. We know his form's on the up. Jim Long is a very competent player. I don't think there's any risk at all for Canada in that group.
Yeah, I fully agree. Group G: Sweden, Lithuania, and France. Now, this group is an absolute minefield. And I say that because I think Thibaut Tricot is a good player. I think Jacques Labra hasn't shown it in singles, but it's different playing as a pair. I think Labanauskas is playing very, very well. But I'm concerned about the Swedish pair. And having watched at the weekend, I think Jeffrey de Graaf is not playing as well as he once was. Look, form can return. But for me, he's not scoring heavy enough. His doubling's good. But Oscar Lukasiak's action after the weekend worries the shit out of me. Dart 1 is the dreaded D word written all over it. The pause on his backswing is concerning.
Yeah, it's and generally things tend to get worse before they get better when we see this creep into somebody's game. I love this group, and I think, in the words of the great philosopher Ellie Goulding, anything can happen. I think I genuinely think I think anything could happen in this group. I think if we sit there on Monday and we could name any one of these three teams and say that they won the group, I'd go yeah okay. I'll have that off you. Like I'll accept that being a plausible outcome. I just think I think the level to which they can all play is quite a narrow range. I think they all sit within a similar range to each other, and that range is quite narrow. I think any team that's not at it will get beat. And I think by the same token, any team that can really turn the screw and up it and click at the same time will probably top the group. This is probably the group that I'm most looking forward to watching, because I think it's the most intriguing in terms of what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, I'm going for France. Group H: Austria, Spain, and Australia. The former world champions find themselves unseeded. And are we saying this is a two-horse race? It will either be Austria or Australia?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Damon Heta, you feel a bit for Damon Heta, because like he's in such an elite spot in the world, and he is such a top player at present. And we talked, we spent a lot of time last week talking about the current state of the Australian game, and certainly things are very much on the up. But I think it must even be frustrating for Simon Whitlock, as much as I'm sure he enjoys coming back to play at the World Cup. But he must have thought, for fuck's sake, how's nobody else managed to get hold of a tour card before now and qualify themselves? But I think that Australia will come through this group, even though they are unseeded. I think Damon Heta is one of the best players on earth, regardless of what tournament is going on and who he's playing. I think what we have seen from Simon Whitlock in recent years is that even when everything else in the game of Simon Whitlock isn't clicking and isn't going to plan, he finds a way to get through matches at the World Cup. If they were in a group with if they were in a group with a different seeded team, if they were in with a Germany, with a Poland, maybe, then I probably wouldn't pick them. But I think Australia come through that group. I'd back them to get through it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think so as well. Group I, again, interesting. America, the USA are the seeds. Video Smurf, hope you're all good, mate. Have a good shift. Hong Kong and Bahrain. Now,
well,
where to start with this group?
I think. Well, let's address the elephant in the room. That is the fact that we talked earlier about the US Darts Masters, and could we pick 8 players that would represent the North America better than the 8 that have managed to get themselves there? And we both agree yes. And with the greatest of respect to Danny and to Jules, we could probably say the same about this as well, couldn't we? We could probably say that we could pick a number of different combinations of USA players that we would maybe feel more confident in coming through a group that, whilst I still think they will come through it, won't be. I mean, they'll dick Bahrain, like they'll batter Bahrain, but the problem is, so will Hong Kong.
I like the Hong Kong pair.
And well, this is it, and both teams will batter Bahrain, so therefore you've then got a shootout. But I think that puts a lot of pressure on. I think it puts a lot of pressure on 2 American players that I don't think cope brilliantly under pressure. And I think the guys from Hong Kong will play with a bit more freedom, and I'm tempted to think that they might come through it,
Well, it's interesting. Right, they play first, and the bookies have got Hong Kong the 1-3 favourites against the USA.
Yeah, I don't think that's a mile away from where it should be. But if I was a bookie, that's where I would be, because I wouldn't want to lose any money as a bookie. But again, I think, and it is what it is. I think you could pick two. I think you could probably get two different American players. You'd probably go off at 5 to 6. I just think that it's the way that that things have worked out. Again, I think we need to see the best of the Hong Kong players. They're not going to be able to just chuck up and not play their A game. We need to see the best of them. But I think the US are a seed in danger, as a phrase we use quite a bit. They are another seed that is in danger, along with Austria and Sweden, I think, so far.
Yeah, and I'm going for Hong Kong to top the group.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I'm at. That's what I think is also happening.
Group J, the Czech Republic, India, and Chinese Taipei.
The Czech Republic are just going to benefit from a very favourable draw here, I'm afraid. The Czech Republic are not particularly strong seeds at all. In lots of other groups, you wouldn't make them favourite. But amongst the what will get chucked at them, they'll breeze through that without any hassle.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going for the Czech Republic as well. Group two groups to go. Group K, Croatia, Japan, and Switzerland. Now, first of all, if Boris says he's topping the group, he is topping the group, and I am not arguing with him.
Especially because Switzerland are always neutral and the Japanese are very respectful. So I think if we
if Boris wants to win this group, Boris wins it.
Yeah, everybody else just step out the way. It is an interesting one, I think, this, because whilst we know, Christ, we've seen Boris do some unbelievable stuff. None of that was particularly recently.
He's had a couple of good games on the Euro Tour, but then not backed it up the next game.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I don't know how reliable Ljubic is going to be.
I think he's only won one game, or maybe two maximum, on the Pro Tour this year.
And this is it.
Confidence isn't high.
And Stefan Belmont is a cracking player. He really is. And both of the Japanese lads can play. And I am inclined to think that if I was putting 50 pence on this, I'd be back in Japan.
I quite fancy Japan as well.
Because I just don't think there's any form whatsoever anywhere else in that group. And I think the Japanese, if they click and they get at it properly, then they'll do all right, I think.
Yeah, don't disagree. Then Group L, Finland, New Zealand, and Argentina. Again, like we made the case, I don't think this is the best New Zealand pairing either. I'm sure that Hopai Puha and Mark Cleaver will give it everything, but in my opinion, is that New Zealand team better with Ben Robb in it? 100%.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Argentina making a debut, their first ever appearance in the Darts World Cup. World Cup of Darts. That's the right phraseology, isn't it? So, but I mean, I know very little about the Argentinians, to be honest. Let's work on the assumption that they're not going to be able to get close to people who are used to playing the game at this level, or certainly a lot more experience playing the game at this level. It's just whether or not I think that it's whether or not I think Cleaver can really back up Puha. I'm not convinced. I'm really not. So I'll just have to say Finland come through the group.
I think New Zealand, but I don't say that with any confidence whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not a tough one to pick. It's not a tough game we want to pick, that one.
I think they might be a little bit better than Finland. Do you know what I mean? I don't say that with any confidence whatsoever. Right. The 4 seeds in the World Cup: England, Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. Do we see those 4 seeds not making the semi-final?
I can tell you the problem is
we don't know who's going to get drawn where.
Yeah, I know. So you don't know who they're going to play. I'll tell you. Well, so I'll give you my scenario then. Is if Scotland or Ireland get drawn against Germany, then they could be in bother. But that depends on which Peter Wright
turns up
to play, and to a degree, which Daryl Gurney turns up to play as well. I think everyone's pretty confident they know, or they've got a good idea what they'll see from Gary Anderson and from Josh Rock. And if we could divide the teams up and somehow put them two together, I think you'd have a really fucking strong team from those. But I think whilst we have seen a bit of an improvement from Daryl Gurney in recent times. You know, he's 25th in the world. He's ranked above Petrescu. I think the Germans are a real threat if they are to meet Scotland or Ireland. I really can't see anybody troubling. I'm trying to think if I can see a scenario where somebody troubles England or Wales. I can't convince myself that somebody troubles England until the final, if at all. The problem I've got with picking this is the biggest wild card amongst it is Dimitri van den Berg, because Mike de Decker can throw a dart, and he can throw a dart very well. And I haven't got a clue what Dimitri van den Berg's going to do. If Dimitri van den Berg turns up and averages 103 in his first match, everyone should shit themselves, because those two, if they're that's probably the biggest question coming into this World Cup, because the favourites are very, very heavy favourites, and then you've got to go looking for stories. And a lot of the groups, like we've said, are fairly simple. Fairly simple to pick in reality. But I think that if Dimitri van den Berg turns up and plays amazing, then Northern Ireland and Scotland could be in bother from Belgium or Germany. But the bigger, again, it's just there's so many factors everywhere. And I think Daryl Gurney is a question mark. Peter Wright's a question mark. Josh Rock for Northern Ireland isn't. I think he'll play a mint. Gary Anderson will be Gary Anderson. I think it. I don't see. So that I would be very, very confident to say the top 7 seeds. So you've got that top 4 of England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Your next 3 out: Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. If they can avoid each other, like that's 7 of the last 8.
Do you, or is there a scenario where we don't see Wales England final?
Yes, and they are probably the aforementioned. If Dimitri van den Berg turns up and unexpectedly starts to average over a ton, and he's been keeping that quiet. And if both those Belgian players are at it, then that could happen. Northern Ireland could beat Wales. I mean, the problem is there's too many players with massive fucking question marks above them at the minute. Huge question marks. And half of those players are playing with players that haven't got a question mark next to them. Like, no, and that's where it gets interesting. And Mike De Decker, I'm pretty confident, will turn up and play superb. Dimitri Van den Berg's a complete lottery. Josh Rock, I think, will turn up and play superb. Darryl Gurney, I find a bit of a lottery. Exactly the same with Scotland. The Netherlands could. I haven't mentioned the Netherlands because without Michael van Gerwen, they can seem not as it's not as glamorous a pick. Like, let's be with respect to Danny and Jan, that it doesn't appear as box office a team, but in reality, if we look at what darts is about, which is about throwing darts at a board and putting numbers in and getting 501 out before the other bloke does, these two both do it very, very well, very, very often. And whilst they might not have the crack and banter that we'll see from the Wales team and the all of the world titles that we see in Team Scotland and the young upstart in Northern Ireland that's coming to take over, and they will both perhaps quietly go about their business, and they could bash everybody up all the way to the final and give England a run for their money if they're both at it. Like we have seen both of these players beat the English. We've seen Jan beat Littler. We have seen Noppert beat Humphreys. We've seen it. Whether or not it could happen on a stage in the World Cup representing your country is a different matter.
Anthony is in. How are we doing, buddy? Congratulations on the 9.
Yes, a lovely call as well.
Yeah.
A lovely call. I got a bit jealous of that.
So, evening. The Joker is in as well. Hope the Academy was good. Right, chat room as well. I want your winner and who they beat in the final of the 2025 World Cup of Darts.
I've completely talked myself out of it,
Are you going rogue?
Well, I mean, not particularly rogue. England win. I have never been more sure of anything.
Oh, the way you were talking about, I thought you talked yourself out of England not winning.
No, I've talked myself out of England beating Wales in the final. Providing the draw allows for this to happen. Then England beat the Netherlands.
My pick is very boring. Very boring indeed.
No, that's why I've attempted to add some colour to it.
England beat Wales in I just can't see past it.
Yeah, I mean, I have convinced myself in the last 25 minutes. All week, I've been absolutely. Can it not happen? People are saying in the chat room it can't happen.
Is it not an open? Because
I thought it was an open draw. But are they? Well, hang on, because they're seeded, aren't they? So, but it doesn't say seeded. Seeded nations top 4. So that must mean Netherlands is 5th. Surely that doesn't mean that in 5th you go into that spot. 5, 6.
I thought it was drawn out, but I might be wrong.
If England are in the same side of the draw as the Netherlands, then England beat Wales. Let me look at
last year's draw.
Please let it be more interesting than that. No, 5th went into the So fifth went into the bottom
half of the draw. So yeah, I think it's drawn.
Yeah, fifth went because fifth played third last year, and Belgium beat Netherlands in the Open. Netherlands went out.
I think it's drawn out.
Yeah, right. So I stand by it. England beat Netherlands in the final.
I like it, but you're wrong.
I'm trying to add some colour to it, mate. Trying to give us something to talk about.
Right. Also, we're going to play a clip here and then discuss, because this is a very good clip as well, by the way, but it's also disappointing for a lot of fans as well.
If that's the way they do it, you know, hey, listen, PDC do what they want. You know, we know they do that. So listen, I'm classed as one of the dinosaurs now. So it's a young man's game now, but if I do get back up in the top 4, then I think I'll be saying a no to a lot of things.
You've seen everything in darts, that this money at the top end is great, but are we doing enough for players 56 to 128?
No. Europeans, like I say, they're doing the qualifiers, and the amount that costs them for their flights, their hotel, their travel back and forward, because it ain't cheap across here, and that if they get beat first, second round, they're probably still out of pocket. You know, it costs a hell of a lot of money to do the circuit. And if you're doing that every week and you've not got a backer or a sponsor helping you out, it's going to be hard going. You know, you're losing money every week going to these Europeans, and it is hard. So I think the bottom end should have a bit more, at least cover enough money to cover their costs and give them a wee bit to put in the bank.
Well,
even if the Flying Scotsman were to be in the top 4 in the world, unfortunately, he will decline.
That's shit, isn't it? That's like, oh, like I said, we talked about it loads of times. Like, I'm quite lucky. I get to go to a few Premier League nights. If Gary Anderson was in the Premier League, I'd go to more. Like, I'd go to more darts I will watch more darts if Gary Anderson is in it. It's a shame. I think he makes some incredibly valid points about the rest of the tour. I think he echoes a lot of the things that we have said recently. I think I think it's interesting that he says the complete opposite to the chairman of the organisation, to which he has to give 2% of his fucking winnings every year, which if you add that over the years, they've had a few quid off Gary. And I think it's interesting that his views are well, I would say polar opposite to that of Mr. Manley. But it's just a shame, the idea that, you know, we wouldn't see. Now, I like to think that, and I know you didn't push him for specifics, but I like to think he was talking about, you know, traveling around the world for the World Series and going to Australia and all that stuff, and that in reality we will get one more go in the Premier League. Let's just hope. Let's just keep hoping. Let's not kill that dream just yet.
Is this the Is this the thing where you're hanging on from not telling your kids that Santa is not real?
Correct.
You just hang on to that dream and hang on and hang on and hang on.
You'll be quiet. Billy's still up. he's off school sick.
We'll be here in we'll be here in 2035 going, oh, Gary will give it one more year. He'll give it one more.
Yeah, but he'll be saying that when he's on this show. God knows how many years in the future.
Yeah, Gary's. If he gets there, he'll give it a go.
If he gets just that chance, if he gets that top, like one last route round, he's in the top 4.
Johnny, I disagree, mate. Having sat there with him and especially chatting off camera, I genuinely believe he declines it. I do, and I know a lot of people, Webby has said in interviews and so on that they don't believe he would, but I genuinely believe he will.
Do you think that there is a scenario in which he could be convinced, or it is the way to convince him to almost badge it as a retirement tour, to give everybody one last chance to see him.
I think the more people would badger him, the more he'd just go, nah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
The thing is, I genuinely now want Gary to get in that top 4 more than anything. And I know the chat room is saying it there that we don't know. This is all hypothetical and so on. There's a couple of bits of this. Say he finishes 6th in the world. One, I want to know, was he asked for a spot and did he decline it? But 2, if he is in the top 4, then everyone's going to be glued, aren't they, to that announcement?
Oh, yes. And
this creates a narrative and a story around the announcement if he is in the top 4.
Correct. Yeah, it does. And because then what do you do with that spot? Because if he does turn it down, does it go to number 5 in the world? Or do we pick somebody? Because if number 5 doesn't get picked at that point, let's be honest, number 5 in the world, we were looking at the order of merit. Let's say number 5 in the world is James Wade. And if James Wade's number 5 and doesn't get picked, then it's another story, isn't it? Something else for us to talk about. We could fill a full show on that.
It's bonkers, isn't it? It really is that. Almost in a way, this is creating a superb narrative around it.
750 to 1 for Ireland to win the World Cup.
I know we've spoken on this show a lot about how to improve darts, and I'm not going to talk. I'm going to talk wrestling briefly. I'm not going to talk about. Did anyone see the drone shot at the weekend that Logan Paul pulled off?
I thought there was a lot of drone usage. I didn't dislike it. It was a mixed bag. I think the key is to use drone footage that can be superb, but it's like everything. You've got to use it you've got to use it where it's appropriate instead of using it for the sake of it. Like, it can be tempting, can't it, to get a new toy and think, well, we'll just use we'll use this for everything now. And this is
the shot was Logan Paul's on the top turnbuckle. He points to the drone. It flies over. He catches the drone, which, don't get me wrong, I get it's over the top. But then Cody Rhodes gets up and suplexes him off the top whilst he's got the drone in his hand. You see it all.
It's very, very cool.
Incredible.
It's very cool.
Production.
I think we can do more with. I think we can do more with cameras in darts. I don't think the drone usage would come into play mid-game, like during games. I think it would distract more than it would enhance.
In that closed environment, I agree. But I'm just saying that.
But I think in terms of the production, like what we've seen for ages, like what I honestly like. Hey, I don't know. We might be able to have a go. A drone fly through of the Winter Gardens from outside, coming through that entrance, they would be amazing footage shot to fly up and through the balconies and the various different, that could be very, very cool.
Well, on the same kind of question here, I said we'd answer this. I don't dislike the fact of playing. I know, look, they play triples and that's 6 of you, but why can't you do a 3-way singles game?
Yeah, I've no real issue with that at all.
I'd quite like to see it.
Yeah, I've got no real issue. I suppose you could argue that you have amplified the disadvantage of the person who's going third, because they've got you're having to break 2 people in terms of you're not just having to break one person's throw, you're having to break 2 people's throw. So as long as you could keep it in a format that fairly rotated that, and I know you would rotate it, but I just think I don't know how easy that then becomes to break 2 people consistently at a good level.
I'm not saying it's easy, but I'd like to see it.
Oh god, yeah, it'd be chaos. Like, and we like chaos, so that'd be fun. Oh yeah, I'd be up. Yeah, I'd be up for that. I'd be up for it. I think you've got to do it for a full tournament, but I mean, not a real one, like that's worth something. But I'd like to see the chaos of it. I'd enjoy that a great deal.
The women's world match play field is fixed after a weekend dominated by Beau winning all 4 events, but there was some good darts all the way across it, and the 8 women that will contest the 4th Betfred Women's World Match Play will be Beau Greaves, Noeline Van Nieuwen, Fallon Sherrick, Lisa Ashton, Robin Byrne, Gemma Hayter, Lorraine Winstanley, and Kirsty Vinner-Kynan. And what I'm going to say on this, and this is the biggest compliment I can pay the ladies, those 8 are superb. And also the ones that have missed out from that 8, we are talking about big names, which is also incredible that we're talking about names that have missed out. Aileen de Graaf, former finalist, Rhiannon O'Sullivan, Angela Kirkwood, Lorraine Hyde, Katie Sheldon, Steph Clark, Mikuru Suzuki, and so on. Laura Turner. There's some big names that have missed out as well.
Yeah, it's a very impressive lineup. And like you say, it's more impressive when you look at those that didn't quite make it. And the amount of 16 events it took to qualify for that. So this isn't it's not a short process. It's not a simple process at all. In order to be there, these ladies have had to play very consistently over 16 events. Not everybody's played them all, but it's an incredibly strong field, and like you say, that it's evidenced by those that sit outside that field who are very, very good players.
Yeah, 100%. Eventually, I'm not going to lie. I didn't see any darts from Selsey at the weekend because I had other things on. So I just didn't see it. I know. Congratulations to Jim McEwen, who won both events in some style, which was good.
It's a very impressive weekend from Jim.
Yeah, I say I didn't see anything of it, but congratulations to Chucky. Shall we chuck in a bit of question time? We've got a couple of let's fire some questions in then, everyone. It's been I still Bobby was super. I love Bobo, having Bobo on.
It's a privilege, isn't it? Like it's quite it's quite a nice and special thing to be able to get people like him on to have a chat with us.
Yeah, and
very nice.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, well remembered, Rob. Dan, you're gonna love this one.
I'm not. What was it? Feel like I'm pulling words from another great philosopher here. Jose Mourinho, I think. If I speak, I'm in trouble. Oh, fucking hell. Like, I'll tell you, right, so I'll tell you my view on it, right? He's either been incredibly naive and badly advised, or he's done something consciously that I find to be a difficult and frustrating thing for somebody to do. It's a bone of contention of mine. I don't make a great deal of secrets about it, how much it pisses me off. It's probably exasperated by the fact that I earn within the top tax bracket and I'm a fucking PAYE earner, so I don't get to decide how much tax I pay. I pay a shitload, and I pay my national insurance. My fucking stamp's always paid because, yeah, and I think that as much as you might think that MPs and the government are reprehensible and make really, really poor decisions with it, it can't be argued that everybody should pay their fair share towards everybody's, pensions and healthcare and schools and doctors and everything else that we actually need to function as a country. And the idea that famous and rich people should not have to contribute to that, while other people get rinsed for 40, 50%, 50+% of their salary, I think is largely inexcusable. It's fine to be badly advised. I would look incredibly seriously at who the fuck was managing it, like his financial affairs. I wouldn't like to think that anywhere there'd been some tweets from a financial organisation, perhaps represented by the PDPA or anything like that, that were working with him at any point. They're the one that they advise. I just think it's a fucking massive own goal. Like I totally get that not everyone can be an accountant, but get one. And it just frustrates the fucking life out of me that, like, nobody likes paying tax. Nobody likes it. Everybody hates it. Everyone thinks it's badly spent. The government does a shit job with it. But where do people think that they are slightly more special than everybody else? That the rest of us should be, or is it just that the rest of us are fucking stupid, and that's what people like that think of people like me? Like, do they just think I'm stupid for paying 50% tax, and that they're somehow fucking geniuses because why should they have to pay it? I don't know. I just find the fact that these stories come out frustrating, because I just think you are gonna get caught in the end. Like, especially if you're not even paying your bastard stamp. Like, you're not even paying, like, you're not even going to get your state pension. Like, if you're not even doing your, like, I just think it's an own goal. And it really frustrates me that these things happen. Like, yeah, and I get it's probably spiraled and, like, spiraled out of control. And once you get a tax bill that you can't pay, you're like, what do? You know, the taxman sends you a bill for 50 grand and all of a sudden you haven't got 50 grand in your pocket because you haven't put it to one side or you've done something else clever with it. And I can understand how it spirals out of control. But if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in the first place, and it doesn't spiral out of control, does it? Like, if you know what you're supposed to be paying in tax and you put it to one side, and when the taxman says, can you pay us that tax, you send it over. And then it goes on like schools and hospitals and things like that. And yes, they might fucking waste loads of it, but they're wasting loads of my money that I work really hard for as well. So what makes anybody else particularly special that their money shouldn't be going to pay for the NHS and to pay for nurses and doctors and schools and everything else? I just think it's fucking annoying.
I have to say, no, I'm not saying it's right, but knowing Rob the way I do, I think he's been poorly advised. I genuinely do. I don't think this is something that he'd have just done off his own back. Do you know what I mean?
I understand that.
I think he's been poorly advised.
I do understand. Like, I get that, and I understand that in these situations, like, I understand that in these situations, the sportsman, right, is probably not making or researching and giving himself the financial advice, but some fucking idiot is accountable for it.
Correct.
Like, and I'm telling you now, like, it's public. There are tweets, Instagram posts, whatever it is, from this fucking Mickey Mouse outfit that the PDPA refers everybody to, saying these are your accountants that you should use. Saying we are. Oh, look at when he was lifting pots all the time, saying we are Rob Cross, our client. Like, if I was Rob Cross, I would be literally wandering around with a fucking big sign with their logo on, saying these fucking idiots here were supposed to sort my tax out, and look at what they've done. And this is like, and like I say, it's not, and it's not me having a personal go at Rob Cross. It just, like, it isn't. These situations frustrate me because somebody in this process, between, like, however this is all constructed, has fucking made a conscious decision to try and make sure that those tax obligations are minimized, reduced, not met. And then these things happen. And Rob is going to, at the end of the day, ultimately, he's going to pay the price for it because, you know, it's going to cost him financially. It's cost him reputationally, like it has. He's been in all the the major papers and things like that. I don't know, mate. It's not a politics show, but it just fucking frustrates me because you know what? These people who do try their best to not actually pay what they're supposed to pay, they're the first people in the pub whinging about the fact that they can't get a doctor's appointment or they have to sit for fucking 9 hours at A&E before anybody could see them. Or where do they think it comes from? How do they think? It's not fucking magic, is it? Annoying, but like if I was him, I'll tell you what, whoever did it, I'd be hanging them out to dry. I would be publicly pointing a very large finger at them and saying, these fuckers here told me that if I paid them enough money, they'd sort everything out for me and they'd keep me right and they'd make sure that everything was organised and everything else. Whereas in reality, like they've not too shy of ended up with him fucking getting banged up. Like he's like they have left him exposed to an incredibly high level of risk. And if I was him, I would be pointing the finger at exactly who dropped him in the shit.
Yeah, agreed. So it's a great way to end the show.
I feel like it got like, I don't know, yeah, get me out. Yeah, find someone who works in the public sector and I'll tell you what, yeah, I'll come and have a walk. I'll take him for a walk around the school with like 70% like school meal kids and see if he thinks that like spending his tax on that is a bad thing.
Everyone, thank you very, very much. This will be available as an audio only in the morning, so make sure that you check that out. Available on all good podcast providers. I tell you what, I loved the show tonight. Superb to have Bobo on, and because he's gone down so well, we'll sort out.
We'll get him back.
Oh, I tell you what, this is ambitious. Could we do a live lounge live from George Hall?
I tell you what, you had my attention. Yeah. I think we could propose. You'd propose, but somebody did propose that we go somewhere and maybe sit. We could maybe sit a couple of us with a bit of a more panel type discussion, couldn't we? And we've got the equipment, haven't we? We tour with the right amount of cameras and mics and everything.
Leave it with me.
You go and do your work, Philip.
But everyone, thank you very, very much. Incredible show. Plenty of interviews over on our YouTube channel. Johnny Clayton and Gary Anderson landed today, so make sure you go and give them a look. But I have been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. We have been Online Darts. We'll see you next week. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.